You've felt it before. That strange moment when you walk away from a conversation and something doesn't sit right. You can't explain it. Nothing obvious was said. No argument, no pressure. And yet somehow your opinion changed. Your decision shifted. Your emotions moved in a direction you didn't consciously choose. That's the unsettling part. The most powerful forms of manipulation don't feel like manipulation at all. They feel natural, logical, even like your own idea. Someone didn't force you. They didn't raise their voice. They didn't demand anything. But by the end of that interaction, you were already leaning in the direction they wanted. And here's the truth most people never realize. Manipulation isn't random. It's not just about toxic people or obvious behavior. It follows patterns. Predictable, repeatable, almost scientific patterns. Once you understand those patterns, something changes. You start to see what others miss. You recognize subtle shifts in tone, timing, and emotion. And more importantly, you stop being controlled by them. Because what you're about to learn won't just explain manipulation. It will change the way you see every conversation, every interaction, and every person around you. Before we go deeper, I want to be clear. Everything discussed on this channel is strictly for educational purposes. Understanding dark psychology is about building awareness, not weaponizing it. If you or someone you know is in a harmful situation, please seek support from a licensed professional. This is a space for growth, clarity, and protection, nothing else. Manipulation at its core is the art of influencing someone's thoughts, emotions, or actions without them fully realizing it. But when we talk about the hidden science of manipulation, we're not talking about obvious pressure or control. We're talking about the invisible mechanisms working beneath the surface. Think about a simple scenario. You're deciding whether to take on extra work. At first you hesitate. You know your limits. But then someone says, "I knew you'd be the kind of person who could handle this." Suddenly, something shifts. You feel recognized, capable, and before you know it, you agree. What just happened there wasn't random. It tapped into something deeper. Your identity, your desire to be seen in a certain way. This is why understanding manipulation matters, because it doesn't just happen in extreme situations. It shows up in everyday conversations, in relationships, in workplaces, even in the content you consume. And the danger isn't just being influenced. The danger is being influenced without awareness. Because when you don't see it happening, you can't protect yourself from it. So today we're going deeper than surface-level tactics. We're uncovering the psychological layers that make manipulation work in the first place. Layer 1, the power of cognitive shortcuts. Your brain is constantly making decisions, thousands of them every day. But to keep up, it relies on shortcuts. These are patterns, assumptions, and biases that help you respond quickly without overthinking. Most of the time, these shortcuts are helpful, but in the hands of someone who understands them, they become entry points. For example, when someone presents information confidently, your brain often assumes it's credible. Not because you verified it, but because confidence feels like truth. Imagine someone speaking assertively about a topic you don't fully understand. They don't hesitate. They don't question themselves. And slowly you start to accept what they're saying, not because it's proven, but because it feels certain. This matters because manipulation often begins here at the level of automatic thinking. If you're not aware of these shortcuts, you're not evaluating, you're reacting. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Layer 2, emotional triggers override logic. Most people believe they make decisions logically. But in reality, emotion comes first and logic follows. Manipulation works by activating specific emotional triggers: fear, validation, urgency, guilt. Once that emotion is active, your ability to think critically decreases. Picture this: someone tells you, if you don't act now, you might miss your only chance. Suddenly, there's urgency, pressure, a fear of loss. At that moment, you're not calmly analyzing options. You're trying to escape discomfort, and that's exactly what makes the influence effective. Or consider validation. When someone makes you feel important, understood, or admired, you naturally become more open to their suggestions, not because they're correct, but because the emotional reward feels good. This layer matters because it reveals something crucial. Manipulation isn't about controlling your thoughts directly. It's about shaping your emotional state, so your thoughts follow. Most people stop here, but you need to know the next layer. 3, social conditioning and identity. The deepest level of manipulation isn't about what you think or feel in the moment. It's about who you believe you are. From a young age, you're conditioned to see yourself in certain ways. Responsible, kind, strong, reliable, and once that identity is formed, you feel a need to act consistently with it. This is where manipulation becomes almost invisible. Because instead of pushing you, it aligns with you. Someone might say, "You're the kind of person who always helps others." That statement doesn't force you, but it creates a subtle pressure to live up to that identity. And so you act not because you were told to, but because it feels like staying true to yourself. This is why the most effective manipulation doesn't feel like control. It feels like choice. And once you understand this layer, you begin to see how deeply influence can be embedded into everyday interactions. Here's the part most people never realize. Manipulation doesn't always come from malicious intent. Sometimes people use these patterns without even knowing it. They've learned them through experience, through observation, through social environments where influence equals success. And here's the deeper truth. You've likely used some of these patterns yourself, not to harm, but to persuade, to connect, to be understood. That's what makes this so complex. The line between influence and manipulation isn't always clear. The real difference lies in awareness and intention. Are you being guided or subtly pushed? Are you choosing or reacting? Because once you see these patterns, you can no longer unsee them. You start to recognize when emotions are being triggered, when identity is being shaped, when decisions are being nudged, and that awareness changes everything. Not just how others affect you, but how you move through the world. Strategy 1. Slow down the decision. When you feel urgency, pause. Manipulation often relies on speed. Giving yourself time disrupts the emotional pressure and allows your logic to catch up. Strategy 2. Separate emotion from information. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? And why? By identifying the emotion, you create distance from it and regain control over your thinking. Strategy 3. Question identity appeals. When someone frames something around who you are, take a step back. Recognize the pattern and decide consciously, not automatically. Strategy 4. Look for patterns, not moments. Don't judge a situation based on a single interaction. Look for repeated behaviors. Manipulation becomes clear when you see consistency over time. Think about the last time you made a decision that didn't fully feel like yours. Now ask yourself, which of these patterns were at play? And did you recognize them in the moment? Manipulation isn't always loud. It doesn't always announce itself. But once you understand the science behind it, you begin to see the patterns hidden in plain sight. Awareness is your strongest defense. Not fear, not avoidance, just clarity. In our next video, we're going to expose the one subtle behavior pattern that quietly controls more relationships than people realize, and almost nobody talks about it. If this gave you something to think about, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to keep learning the psychology most people never get taught,